The Nike ZoomX Invincible versus the Nike Air Zoom Tempo Next Percent. Who did not guess that I was going to make this comparison video? What's up everybody, welcome back to the vlog. My name is Filip Latocha, and today, as you can guess by the title, we are comparing the Nike ZoomX Invincible with the Nike Air Zoom Tempo Next Percent. The differences, the similarities, their utilities, and overall why I think both are good, interchangeable, everyday fast trainers in addition to tempo runners overall. Obviously, both of them achieving a very similar purpose with different designs. But before we get into it, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. You know how this goes. If you are a continued subscriber of the channel and you are continuously watching this content, thank you so much. Love you guys a lot. Without further ado, let's get into it. So unless the specs are necessary for the comparison, I'll bring them up. But for the most part, I'm just going to have the individual specs listed somewhere here. Maybe like right there. I think that's about right. So let's kind of just jump right into it. Let's talk about the similarities between both shoes, generally speaking, and then we'll start talking about the differences and how they achieve their goals overall of what I think my hypothesis is, which is that both shoes are equally excellent everyday trainers with a tempo snazz to them. And because of the technologies they use, despite the shoe's weight, they can still give you a fast run that feels extremely light daily. So that being said, let's talk about the ZoomX Invincible in terms of how it achieves its goals. So of course, this is just ZoomX foam going all the way across. It's got a Flyknit 2.0 upper, as I'm going to call it. And of course, the purpose of this shoe with its technology is that ZoomX all the way across is very squishy. It's very, not so much like reactive, but it is extremely springy in a way where if you strike here in this midfoot area, you're going to get an awesome roll out of this shoe that's going to help propel you and make the shoe feel extremely light. One of the offsets with the shoe, of course, is because it is kind of back heavy. If you are a toe striker, you're going to see yourself start hitting this midfoot area and maybe even move into like the literal middle area of your shoe. So that's kind of the intention of the shoe overall, is you want to hit this area because it is just my take that this toe box area is kind of a dead zone on the shoe because the overall purpose is to roll into your step. And if you're striking this toe box area, you lose a little bit of the roll and you kind of lose a little bit of the spring because you don't have like a carbon or nylon plate in this shoe overall. Of course, the other difference that's kind of major on this shoe is that the cushion around the heel ankle area is a lot more profound. Obviously it's a lot more comfortable, but it just makes for a different ride overall if you were to compare it to something like the Tempo Next Percent, which we will discuss next. So the major differences obviously with the shoe is the technologies that are being used. This one is strictly ZoomX going all the way across. This one, however, has a layer of React running across here on the top. It has ZoomX here in this front area. It uses air pods or air pockets, however you want to call them, in this midfoot area to give you the spring of the compression decompression that you're looking for out of a shoe like this. And of course, you got ZoomX running away all the way here, and then you have React foam going across the bottom in this heel area. So the mix of foams obviously gives it a slightly different ride, and this shoe gets a lot of praise and criticism at the same time. I have been overall pretty awesome about the shoe. I've been giving it a lot of forgiveness for what it's worth because I know this is supposed to be a trainer to the Alpha Fly, and obviously the shoe life, in my opinion, is kind of terrible when you consider the technology easily breaks in the shoe. This one's the left foot, so it doesn't even look that bad. If we were to whip out this shoe, I'm about like almost 150 plus miles in, and as you probably remember from like my Tempo Mango Next Percent videos, this is like, it's getting there. It's getting real bad here, kids. So basically, this is what the purpose of the shoe is obviously to land in this midfoot area, have the air pockets compress, and then your decompression kind of kicks off in that sense. The caveat, of course, of this shoe is that even if you toe strike in this ZoomX foam area, the air pockets are still going to assist because of the way the rubber is built on this shoe. It kind of has everything compressing together, and you're still going to get a little bit of advantage out of that air pocket. So it doesn't even need to roll that well to get kind of that air pocket feel. You can still hit here and you'll still get that compression because of these air pockets and the nylon plate that is running across the half, I'd say, point of the shoe, maybe even a little bit towards the back here, wherever this React ends. That's where I believe the plate is in this shoe. And it's a nylon plate, it's not a carbon plate. Big difference, of course. So, of course, another big difference is the Flyknit is built a lot different, where it's a lot more compressed and a lot more material here in this heel area, and then it becomes a lot more breathable, a lot more open in this midfoot area and forefoot area, respectively. The difference also is that the collar doesn't have a whole lot of material, especially in this, with this Achilles pillow. It doesn't have a whole lot of material to make it feel plush and comfortable here. But if you're wearing a pretty comfortable sock, you don't typically feel any sort of soreness or kind of beat down in this particular area. So my original hypothesis in this video is that both shoes should be equal in terms of being everyday trainers with a fast kind of slant towards them, that you don't want to go necessarily slow in these shoes to experience them properly. And I think that's still going to be resting as the case, because again, the Tempo Next Percent, as most people probably imagine, is a shoe with a lot of controversy, and it's supposed to be the training version to the Alpha Fly. That being said, I have used this shoe as an everyday trainer a lot, and I think my biggest streak with this shoe is about 2.5 weeks before I started experiencing a major beatdown in this toe box area. And that kind of has me think that maybe you shouldn't be running every single day in this shoe, but it is manageable to a point before the way, you know, you hit the ground, it starts just really beating down your feet, and overall you should take like a few days off this shoe. But the way it's built, even with the ZoomX, with these pockets, with the React, the foam isn't going to necessarily fatigue itself after, you know, having so many runs after a while. And because it is using React, I think the foam doesn't lose a lot of its momentum halfway through your workout, and it will still continue to carry you if you are feeling a lot of fatigue. If you're starting to feel beat, if your stride slightly changes, the shoe is going to adapt accordingly to basically keep you on track. That being said, the shoe is very stable in that way because of the way it's built so wide in this midfoot region of the shoe, that even if you do hit the outside a little bit, it's still going to correct itself based on the way the nylon plate works in here. So it's very stable on that front, and I've not experienced any ankle issues in this particular shoe so far, which is strange because this was probably a can of worms for another time. But the Alpha Fly doesn't feel nearly as stable as the Tempo Next Percent. We'll talk about that another time for sure. Now, with the ZoomX Invincible, as an everyday trainer, I haven't put it through like 2 to 3 weeks straight of training yet, because I have been experiencing this recently where the ZoomX does kind of fatigue after a while if you are taking this on multiple days in a row, or even in a more compressed scale, no pun intended. After like halfway through my workout, I will feel a little bit of fatigue with myself and in the ZoomX midfoot region, because the foam isn't decompressing nearly fast enough because of the beatdown it's experiencing from your workout. So there needs to be like a window where the shoe kind of has some time to rest, kind of breathe, and recompress itself for the next workout. And I think ZoomX has this maybe a pain point, in my opinion, and at least in my experience, that it needs a little bit of time to re-energize, recompress, rejuvenate itself before you take it on multiple runs in a row. Otherwise, it's going to start feeling pretty flat after a little while. And is this 100% confirmed? I don't know. Again, this is just my personal take on it. Maybe ZoomX has a better life than I think, and I'm just the one that's always exhausted. Hard to say. That being said, this is still an awesome everyday trainer, as I have been using it recently. But again, the new Flyknit is very interesting to work with. It has been very durable. It has been pretty good overall in like the cooler weather. Again, during the hot weathers, like whenever I would run on the beach or something with this shoe, it does feel like a woolly coat, and the moisture does really build up in this shoe a lot more than per se the Tempo Next Percent, because this one breathes a lot more, has a good chance to kind of evaporate, and it doesn't have a whole lot of, I would say, like material for the water to necessarily, or moisture in this case, to stick in the shoe, and it all does kind of expand or kind of get out of the shoe or evaporate overall. So basically, as far as I'm concerned, both shoes do operate very well as fast daily trainers, even though they're built a little bit differently, and they both have their different opinions and approaches from the internet and people who have tried with the both shoes. But it's just my take that if you are looking for your fast daily everyday run, both shoes are equally able to accomplish your goals. And even with the weights that the shoes present and with the different technologies they offer for you, they will still accomplish a very similar goal. But the major difference, of course, is that the Tempo Next Percent is setting you up to race in an Alpha Fly later on, whereas the ZoomX Invincible can also do something very similar, like training for the Alpha Fly, but probably leans more towards a race day Vaporfly based on the fact that this thing is entirely ZoomX going across, and the Vaporfly is also ZoomX going across with a carbon plate and a little bit more compressed than the shoe. But the feel is probably more to simulate that rather than like the Alpha Fly, as far as I'm concerned right now. So that's why I'm going to stay with the comparison and contrasting. And yeah, I'm still holding to my theory, or in this case, my hypothesis, that both shoes are excellent everyday trainers, and I think they should be interchangeable with one another. And if you do experience a difference with the shoes, you'll kind of know based on the technologies that this kind of thing does exist overall. So I think I'm going to end the video here. If you guys have got any questions about the comparison and contrasting of these particular shoes, you know, just leave them in the comments below. I'll try to answer whatever I can. Let me know if you got both of these shoes, if you agree with the assessment, if you like one better than the other, if you disagree with the assessment, what do you think is different? And don't just tell me, oh, well, one is built to do this and one is built to do that. Like, your experience with the shoes. Do they accomplish a similar purpose? Does one feel slightly, you know, weaker than the other? Just let me know in the comment section below. You guys know how this goes. That being said, thanks so much for watching this video. I'll see you guys real soon.